with our prayer. And hello, Art. And okay, move on. Let's get started. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. First of all, I would like to call attention to our program, our agenda. As said many times, we have 4 meetings for the program 1, and those are the dates. 4 meetings for the program 2, those are the dates, and November 11, 12, and 13 for our practice in Houston. The novelty now, the news is this has been fixed. Some folks that had talked to us asking to, get a firm date so they can plan in advance, make arrangements. I know this involves, flights and such. So it's not good moving dates once we bought a ticket. So they has been fixed. Now, what does that mean? Our first meeting is going to be our lab per se, because we know we have a lot to cover, and what we do not know if the time that we think we have scheduled will be enough. So let's say, for example, April 9th will not be able to cover all the topics, so then there will be an overflow to May 7th and such. So, but in between, if we get closer and closer to November and we see we didn't cover the entire program when program 1 and 2, then we'll get some extra meetings so we can catch up, right? So there will be some makeup meetings if by any chance we getting too close to November and we are not done yet with all the topics. Is that fair? Good deal? All right. So, hi, Antonio.
Hello.
Hello.
I was in another.
Okay, no problem. So with that, I will go ahead and start with our prayer for today. As usual, we ask for protection. We try to get in sync with the mentors of this group and with the mentors of this study. And so every time we meet, we start with a prayer. So let's relax, close our eyes, elevate our thoughts to the higher spirits, connect with them, and start with our prayer. Dear brother Jesus, as we gather here today to learn from the Spirit teachings, from your loving message, and from each other's life experience, we ask you please to come beside us, lead us on our study today, the days ahead of us, and through the time when our mind cannot cope. Help us to find peace and calm in inner thoughts. You hold us safe, Jesus. And please do the same for this group, for our mentors here with us today, for our family members, our houses, relatives, and all those crossing our mind right now, as well as all of those in need. And so be it.
So be it.
Amen.
All right. Amen. So do we have Leda with us today? No?
What?
Leda.
Leda, I don't see
yeah,
Leda.
she said she's restarting her computer. She's coming soon.
Oh, okay.
She'll be a little bit late because of the computer, yes.
Oh, okay. So that's okay. No problem. As usual, we always have IT issues because the nice thing is, since we are studying labor in the law of labor, so Leda, she was very nice to us, and she prepared a very good material based on this movie called Astral City. And also remember, this movie is based on the book from Chico Xavier and the spirit Andre Luiz, who used to be a doctor when he was incarnated. So Leda put a very nice material together for us, and she will explain that to us today. So, but in the meantime, is there any more question or comment, idea, suggestions, or other than Lynn's suggestion to this mechanics of mediumship? Yes, Gloria.
It's not mechanics of mediumship. I noticed in Wendy's announcements that this class is moving to 4 p.m. next week. Is that correct?
No.
Are we staying
No.
at 3 p.m. Central Time?
Central Time, yes.
Okay, because I read that in the schedule of classes and I thought, why would Anna change the time? Anyway, that was confusing. So thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, we just mentioned the timing when we were, about to shift to daylight saving, but no, we are not moving.
But isn't Australia changing their time this coming, well, tomorrow, I guess? Or
Maybe, yes.
maybe that's why she,
Should they?
Yeah, I think they
yes. April the 2nd.
I think they
yes.
are. So,
Yeah,
but
I think so.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the announcement was for the Australians then. Okay. Yeah. The other thing also, remember, there will be recordings for those meetings on mechanics of mediumship. And if by any chance you cannot make for one of those meetings, no problem. That will be a video. It will be recorded as well as those meetings over here, but the video will be available for the ones for this group only. I'm not gonna publish the videos. Okay, it's gonna be for the ones. And the reason why I'm doing this is because since we are reading the books of the spirit, it is like we have some foundation, we have some baseline. So I'll not like someone who doesn't have that kind of baseline to watch those videos and then come up with, all kind of questions that, it's much easier if you have something ahead of time, like what we are doing right now, studying the Spirit's book. The other thing also is, like I said, there will be some makeup meetings. And in case we cannot, there is a question that I need to ask you guys. In case we cannot cover all the topics in a single meeting, is that possible that those makeup meetings take place on Saturdays instead of Sundays? I would like to keep on Saturdays. I don't want to stop the Spirit's book meetings, because I think they are very, very important, and they do support a lot on the mechanics for mediumship classes. But do you see any problem of, every once in a while taking one Saturday? All right. Okay, sounds good. Well, it seems like Leda is still facing issues, right?
Leda said that she had a general problem with her computer.
Oh, okay, that's okay. We can, you know what? I guess I'll go ahead and continue with the book. And if by any chance she's able to connect, then we can stop and then she can present to us. All right. So let me stop sharing over here and let me go to the question that we were. Okay, there you go. Let me share again. All right. So last time, our last question was, we were studying again, law of work, necessity of labor. Question 679. Are there any individuals who possesses enough worldly goods for survival to render them exempt from the law of labor? And the answer was perhaps from material labor, but not from obligation of making themselves useful according to their means and developing their own intelligence and that of others, which is also labor. There are individuals to whom God has granted sufficient means. They are not restricted to earning their income by the sweat of their brows. In that case, their obligation of being useful to their fellow beings is all the greater because they have at their disposal a much greater amount of free time for doing good. All right, so Maria, you have a comment?
Yes. In the Gospel, according to Spiritism, chapter 6, 10, 14, which talks about detachment from earthly goods, says Allan Kardec, if you are rich, do not forget that goods that you have are only extruded to you and that you have to justify the job you give them as if an account for a guardianship. Do not be a depositary unfaithful, using them only in satisfaction of your pride and your sensuality. Do not think that you have the right to dispose for your exclusive benefit of what received, not as a gift, but simply as a loan.
Oh, yeah, very nice. Yeah, I like it.
She said more one thing. We know that the test of earthly and poverty is difficult, but necessary for moral improvement. Because while in poverty, the human being needs to develop resignation, patience, and humility, in which he needs to practice charity and avoid abuses and temptations that appear in a variety of ways. It is necessary to remember that the two tests are temporary situations that can be alternate in the same or in the next incarnation.
Very nice. Yeah, as a matter of fact, this morning I just saw a story of a guy that was, he was a boy when he got meningitis, I guess that's the name, meningitis. And he was literally 17 years old. And it got so serious. Well, long story short, he survived, but then he got his limbs amputated. So he had no arms, he had no legs. And then his family was, this is a Brazilian boy. This is a story of a Brazilian boy. His family was, wealthy enough to take him to a rehabilitation clinic over here in US. And then he was meeting with this doctor that was taking care of athletes with serious conditions. And so he was observing how the rehabilitation was, and, you know, using those prostheses and etc. So he decided to not use a wheelchair for his entire life. So he decided to use those prostheses, and his family was able to cope with the expenses. So good thing for him, right? But that boy, he was so resilient. He was so determined to become independent, to work, to have a normal life as much as possible, that actually he reached his goal. And during the pandemic, he came back to Brazil. So he said, you know what, I just can do my work remotely, so it doesn't matter where I go. So so he decided to go back to Brazil and stay with his family. By then, he noticed something, that, you know, there was a huge room for improvement in the rehabilitation process of those in the same condition as him. So he decided to move back to Brazil permanently and do his work from there, and open this clinic based on the same kind of teachings he had. So this is a very good example when a bad experience plus wealth can be used to help others. So I thought it was very, very nice stuff. So here we have Leda with us, and let me share the screen. And so Leda, are you ready?
Yes, I'm sorry I was late because my computer went off and it was
IT stuff, it happens every time that we have something, a presentation to do. Everybody knows that.
Yeah, I'm so sorry about that.
No problem. Well, thank
so-
you so much for putting this material together for us. We are very
Oh, no, actually,
excited.
I had done a study about this book for Vladimir once last year or 2 years ago, I don't know. So it was, I just adapted for the team, the labor focus, right?
Yes.
Well, I don't know if you've read the book, or saw the movie. The movie is called Astral City, but in Amazon, the title of the book was not changed. It's Nosso Lar yet. So if you want to buy the book, that's very important reading, I think, because it opens a whole new world for us to understand the spirit world. So if you want to read the book, it's in Amazon, it's by Nosso Lar. So it's channeled by Francisco Cândido Xavier in the 40s, 1940s. And you can change, Anna. And it's the story of this physician, this Brazilian physician. There's a lot of speculation until now about who he was. And the spirits decided to keep him anonymous. So this name, Andre Luiz, is a made-up name. It's not his real name. Some people says he is Carlos Chagas, who was a very important doctor here who found out about diseases, but it's not settled that he was that doctor. There are other possibilities. So the important thing is that he started a new chapter in the channeling of Chico Xavier, because as he's a doctor, physician, he gave so many details of the life as you go to an astral city. and the work that the spirits do to help people here on earth. So after the story that
with a perspective as a scientist, right?
Yes, we have a scientific perspective. So he gives many details, and he is neutral, right? He tries to learn. He puts himself in the position of learning after all the story that we're going to see. He puts himself in this perspective of learning, of being humble, but yet scientific. So he will tell about his work there in many books after this, and he's always under the teachings, I would say, the instructing, help Yana, he's always being helped by more experienced spirits. So he always brings this specialists. So sometimes there's a book in which he talks about mental diseases. There's another book in which he talks about disincarnation or death. So he always participates on specific groups of help, and there's always a very experienced person who teaches him and who gives many comments about what's going on. So
like a mentor, yeah.
A mentor, yeah, instructor, right? I don't know if this word is a coach, yes, but always someone very higher in terms of experience and knowledge and
background experience.
And he is already a very he's not anyone. He is already someone who has a lot of knowledge in terms of earthly knowledge. But then he will get there and see that his earthly knowledge is not enough. So we'll see. So he had this cancer here on earth. And from one day to another, he goes under treatment for this cancer, and during a surgery, he dies during this surgery. And you can change, Anna, please. And then during after his death, he finds himself in the lower regions, and he walks and he walks, and he's hungry and he's thirsty, and he listens to these voices telling him that he committed suicide, which he couldn't understand, and he doesn't know how long it's gone, that how much time has passed, until a time, and he stops and he prays. But he doesn't pray automatically. He prays in a way with his full heart, with sincerity, and he recognizes that there should be a force that commands the universe. There should be a creator. There should be someone who knows best, and he puts himself under the care of this creator. So he doesn't know how long he's praying there, when he sees this higher spirit that comes to rescue him. His name is Clarence. You can change, Anna. And Clarencio is there. He's there for a long time. He's been supervising what had been going on, but the problem is that Andre wasn't able to see the higher spirits, because he was so connected to the earth and to the problems that he had, to the disease, to the hunger, to being thirsty, that he couldn't see anything beyond that. But when he prays, he changes his vibrational level, and then he can see Clarence. And he was rescued and taken to an Astral City. Here you can see 3 levels of Astral Cities, right? The lower realms are in the surface of Earth, right? He was in the surface of the Earth. But then when he's rescued, he's taken to this Astral City called Nosso Lar, our home. And he's taken to a hospital. And there he starts to learn about his new life that he's about to face, and about the facts that have been happening, how the spiritual world works. You can change, Anna. So in this, I'd like to make a small disclaimer, because I know that Len has been to Astral Cities, and I want to tell you that Astral Cities, they can be very different one from the other. So some things that happen in Nosso Lar don't happen in other Astral Cities. But Nosso Lar, we have to understand that it's a colony that's in the middle. It's not a very high colony. It's not the most lifted ones, the higher ones, but it's not also the ones in the surface. It's connected to the higher realms already, but still with a lot of connection yet to Earth. We will understand this when we talk about the ministries that are there. They have 6 ministries, we'll see. 2 are connected to the higher planes, and 4 to the earthly plane. So it's in the transitional area, in the middle of this, of the higher planes and the lower planes, okay? And there is also a diversity, not just with the evolutionary levels of spirits, because if it's in the middle, you understand that there are spirits that are more evolved, and some spirits that are less evolved. So there's a diversity because of that. But there is also diversity because in the Astral Cities, sometimes you have Astral Cities that are more connected to a religion. Some Astral Cities are more connected to some sort of work. Like for instance, there are Astral Cities there are for children who die being children, and they don't automatically become adults. So they go to some Astral Cities just for children, where there are schools and things like that. And Nosso Lar, it's not that kind of Astral City. It's a very big one with 1 million inhabitants. That was in 1940. So today,
Estimated,
yeah,
much more.
Today, probably much more. So it's a big Astral City with all kinds of people, of spirits. So this is just for us to understand that there might be differences from what we know, we have heard. Some, maybe we can discuss about this later. So, but there is a difference. This pyramid here shows that we have the imperfect spirits, the good spirits, and the pure spirits. So this is not a colony of pure spirits, and this is not a colony just of imperfect spirits, but the good ones are there to help the ones that are more imperfect, to help them evolve as well. So they call it a city of labor and achievement, because they say that they are happy there because they have work. So when he goes there, he goes first to a hospital, and at first he recovers from his illness, and he tries to talk to people who receive him there and to understand what's life like there, and why he couldn't see his mother, although she had died before him, and his father. And they tell him that his mother, she lives in a higher city. So as we saw in the beginning, the higher spirits, they can't see the lower spirits. Well, I don't know if the term would be lower spirits, but the high density spirits, the more densified spirits, more materialized spirits, if I can say that. So the higher spirits can't see the other ones, but when you are more close to the earth, you can't see the higher spirits. So his mother, he couldn't see his mother yet, and his father was still in the lower realms, and he didn't know that yet. He just gets the news from his mother, and they tell him that she's very much interested and helping him, even though he couldn't understand and couldn't see that she was helping his case, let's say. If we have a process, and we could say she was acting in his case. And then he recovers, and when he recovers, he starts to think that he misses work, because he was a very well-known physician with a good reputation, and he wants to use it and to be of service in the area that he has graduated. And can we go on? But then he starts to understand how the city works, what kind of work they do there. And then Lysias, who is a spirit that is someone that's there to help him, that has a connection with him. He doesn't say which kind of connection, but it's like a brother to him. He says, yeah, he says, assisting, what kind of work goes on? Now they are in the ministry, like we said, there are 6 ministries: renewal, Ministry of Renewal, Ministry of Assistance, Ministry of Communication, Ministry of Education, Elevation, and Divine Union. So this hospital is in the Ministry of Assistance. So that's the kind of work they do there: assisting patients, hearing and prioritizing prayers, planning reincarnations on earth, forming rescue groups for spirits suffering in the lower spiritual zones or on the planet. That's what his future books will be about. His work in these rescue groups of spirits suffering in the lower spiritual zones or on the planet. And sometimes these rescue groups are very specific, like there is a book in where they're going to help people to die, and they form these rescue groups to assist people in the process of dying. Sometimes they are helping a group of people, a family, a spiritual family that's been through some problems, some very serious problems. And then they help the whole spiritual family, because they can't help that's something that they show. Sometimes you think that's only one person asking a prayer to help this one person, but when you go deeper, you have to help a whole family, a whole spiritual family, to go through their process of getting better. Going on, so to put it briefly, the workers here examine problems related to human suffering and work on solutions to them. So this first ministries like renewal and assistance, they are very connected to earth. These ministries of communication and education are very much connected to mediumship and having inspiring people on earth to do work and to discover new technologies, new ways of education. Just 1 second. And the elevation and the divine union are the two that are more connected to the higher realms. So they help getting the vibration of the colony higher with prayers, with meditation.
When you say colony is the city, the Astral City.
The city, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, the city. So they
sometimes the literal translation, because in the books in Portuguese, it is called not Astral City, but colony for some reason. And yeah, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, Anna told me that's not a very good word in English to say, right? Sometimes I forget. So these two ministries, they will work with the prayers that help the vibration of the city to be higher. They will help with the water, because there is water that goes to all the houses in the colony, and they help cleaning this water with their thoughts and their ideas. So and they make the contact with their higher realms. We can go on. So then, after understanding all these labor processes that go on in the city, he starts thinking that he wants to do something. So we'll see what he starts thinking. Anna, please. Oh, no, there's still about the ministries. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself.
I'm sorry.
No, you can go back. Yeah. Okay, so these are the ministries. Can you read for us, Anna, please?
Yeah, so there are 6 ministries: regeneration, communication, assistance, clarification, elevation, and divine union. The first 4 are connected to earth services, and the last 2 are connected to upper spheres. All of them are work-related type of places. Regeneration ministry looks after the cure of those who are still in very bad conditions. It works almost as a hospital. Ministry of Assistance works helping people, including the sick ones. Likewise, they assist people on earth and in lower spheres, as well as helping preparing new reincarnations. Counseling and planning is also something that takes place in there. Ministry of Communication and Clarification are devoted to intellectual services, including mediumship. And the ministries of Divine Union and Elevation are in touch with the higher realms and keep the vibrations and balance of the city through prayers, meditation, and love irradiation. Those are the place where the ambassadors are located.
Yeah, each ministry has 12 ministers, and they have one governor who rules it all. So they meet with these ministers, and Clarence, who was the one who rescued him and who brought him to the city, is one of these ministers. And we'll see that when he finally gets work, he'll get the work in the regeneration ministry, which is the lowest, the one with the toughest tasks. Let's put it like that, because they receive the spirits that come from Earth in very bad conditions, in very bad shape, and that's where he's gonna go to work. But let's go further, Anna, please.
Yeah, just one comment here, Leda, that I would like to point. This is the map for Astral City. Doesn't mean that every city is the same, has the same map, right? So they have their own organization. But I have put over here as below, so above, because it is, and that is in Matthew 6:10. That is exactly how it is. You know, the cities on earth are actually a replication or an attempt of replication what it is above. So what we are looking at in terms of Astral City is not something new. Actually, we saw that sometime, and then we try to recreate over here on earth.
Can I also say something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting
Please.
to notice that all these people don't think that all this knowledge in these books by Chico Xavier were received with open arms by the spiritist people at the time. No, it's been a long way since 1930s, 1940s, and people started getting evidence, and so many evidence. For example, this drawing, you can see this, right? I remember it was a woman, she was disabled, and she started receiving some drawings. And she started drawing the places she was taken out of her body. She had lots of lucid out-of-body experiences, and she started drawing. She was good at drawing. And then she curiously, she tried to talk to Chico Xavier about those drawings. So Chico Xavier said, "Oh, this is Nosso Lar. This is the Astral City." Yes, about the book about I wrote about. And recently, just to illustrate, there was a pastor here in Brazil. The guy has been a pastor for more than 10 years. He was the chief of a church, and he lost his daughter at early age. And he started having experiences of his body, and he visited his daughter in a place, and he started taking notes about that place. And one day he decided to read about Nosso Lar, right, the Astral City, and say, "Oh, that's exactly the place where my daughter is." And of course, for him to admit that being a Protestant pastor was crazy. And of course, he avoided doing that. But in the end, he was so consoled by the information that was coming from his daughter, and so consoled by the place where he saw she was, that from the book, that he says, "People, what's saying in the book is what I was, what she is, where she is." I mean, right? So this has been, right, year after year for many, many years, and people watching this kind of things, so that people came to the conclusion that Chico Xavier's mediumship was really on the level. Okay, Len.
Yeah, just a second. Yeah, that's what I was about to say as well, Luis, because many, many years ago, when my father passed away, I was not a spiritist, I was a Catholic, and that's exactly what I experienced. I had the chance to visit my father. He was in this hospital. I didn't understand what the hospital was about. I didn't understand the condition of my father, because he didn't die from a heart issue or something like this. But I was able to see something was done in this plexus chakra over here. And then whoever guided me to that place, when that person saw me looking at my father, said, "Okay, so this is not really what happened to him, because he died from an aneurysm." The person immediately said to me, "Well, do not forget, in this place, we no longer treat the body, the physical body. We all the treatments over here are about the spirits, what it is in your heart. So that's what your father is experiencing now. And then my father, that place was, that guy was showing me the place and was showing me, the surrounding. And when I read the book and I saw the movie, I was like, oh, wow, it was not a novelty to me, really. Sorry, Lynn.
No, it's not to be sorry. I'm just quiet, taking it all in. The thing is, if you look at the literature of the afterlife, etc., down through the decades, what happens is it's evolving, different words really meaning the same concept. All right. What you'll have is like healing centers that you're talking about here. You'll have the exact replica, and there's a lot of documentation for that. Sylvia Brown's work, our books, etc.,
Exactly.
where you'll have a pristine version of the earth here on the other side, and you have the continents of Atlantis, Lamora, etc. And so there's a lot, like the healing centers, all the different astral planes, from the lowest, the middle, by vibration frequencies, to the highest before you get into the causal mental realm, etc. So the thing is, what you see as you start to listen and go through the spiritual literature, the names are different words, but they're meaning the same concept. All right. And this sometimes can be confusing for people. Now you have this, I have a question for Leda. You have this Clarence. Could this Clarence have been the master spirit guide for the individual you're talking about?
Yeah,
You understand
probably.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, probably he was.
Probably he was the master spirit guide for this individual. So,
And he was the sponsor, the sponsor for his entrance in the Astral City. So he was the one responsible for him, his guardian, let's say like that.
It's interesting you use that term sponsor, but always but basically he's responsible for that soul, that spirit. And basically now in the literature, it's always talked about as the spirit guides, master spirit guides, and that's the same function. That's the same function with they are responsible for that soul, for the guidance, as you said, of that soul. Okay. Yeah. So it probably was his master spirit guide.
Thank you, Lynn. Hi,
yes, just a minute. Hi, Sing, you're going to speak? Okay.
Yeah. I don't know, she had, hi, Cynthia, you had your hand raised.
I was going to say again that this is what Francis Banks talked about also, where you go to come to grips with the new life that you find yourself in. And there are universities, schools. She woke up, she said, in a hospital because she was sick, but the hospital had no walls. But then when she was told there to just rest.
Walls.
No walls.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And so this is so different people, I think, have different experiences. And so that depends on where you find yourself when you move on.
Yep. Yeah. And there are many cities. Yes. Yeah, there are many cities. I have been taken to one once, and I remember lots of learning and lots of people. It was like going to a seminar or a place of learning. And I remember I was so happy, as happy someone can be, and lots of people around me in the same condition, and it was just awesome. And that place was specific for learning.
Yeah, I had to learn a lesson once when I was at a mediumistic circle, and I was taken out of my body, and I was in a very beautiful place like that. It was a green grass and some very beautiful glassy buildings, and I could hear children playing, right? And somebody came to me. I didn't hear anybody saying, but somebody came in my mind and said, "You are in Nosso Lar. You are in that city, Astral City." And when I heard that, I started recalling things here on Earth, and I started missing things here on Earth, right? And there was a very strong alert saying, don't think like that. That's not good for your experience here. And my rebellious side started, come on. I think what I want to think. I do what I want to do. And said, that's why it's not easy for you, for anyone to stay at a higher place. You need a lot of discipline. All right, thank you very much. Do you understand what it means? Yeah, because it's something that when you are in a higher place, you need, they say higher cities are just like very high level universities. You need a lot of discipline, mental connection, mental focus, right? And one thing more I'd like to add is that I have in my channel, Spirit Connections, a video about a medium here in Brazil called Peixotinho, Little Peixoto. And this guy was a very nice materialization medium, a very good friend of Chico Xavier's, right? And once they were having a materialization in his spirit center, and suddenly the spirits inside the cabin, right, or the cabinet, started saying, wow, it's the minister, wow, it's the minister, the minister. And Clarence materialized in the meeting, right? And he gave a presentation, he spoke, and the spirits that received Clarence said, let people take advantage of that, because many here who are in this room will not be able to see him in the spirit world, because now he's a very high spirit, right? So it's a very, very beautiful meeting here. It was in a city, a small town in Rio de Janeiro, the Rio de Janeiro state, right? And this medium was fantastic, this called Peixotinho. It was so fantastic that sometimes things like, for example, once the spirit is materialized, ask the girl there, can you give me some money? He got some money. He went to the pharmacy outside the spirit center, bought some medicine, say, take this, right? 3 times a day. Yeah, it was lots of phenomena like that. And okay, just as a curiosity. Yeah.
Okay, so as Anna said, as below, so above, here the city resembles a lot like land said to the earth, but he says, Andre says, that's always more beautiful, like it's an improvement of what we have here. And sometimes he got to pictures on the wall, and he said, oh, I saw that on earth. We have a picture like that on earth. And then the Paul said, this is the original.
It is a copy.
The one you have on earth is a copy. The artist came here, saw it, and then he got back to earth and made a copy of what we have here. So let's continue, Anna, please. Yeah, we can go on. We talked about this. Okay. So we are happy because we have work. Here's where Lysias explains again what kind of city is that. He says, the truth of the matter is that Nosso Lar isn't exactly a settlement of triumphant spirits, at least not in the ordinary sense of the word. It's not the place for the higher spirits, very high spirits, because everything in the universe goes step by step. It doesn't change completely. So as Luis said, for us, it's hard to be there. It's more than we are used to here. The discipline is more than we are used to. It's higher than what we are used to be, but it's not yet, like Len said, where you have just the mental activity, right? So the happiness going on, the happiness you see around you comes from a single source. The Astral City's inhabitants have constructive work to do. God has given us an opportunity to serve, and serving fills us with joy. So it gives them a sense of purpose, right? They find the purpose in being there and helping people and helping their loved ones. So that's what Andre wanted to do, but he had to find out some things before. So let's go on, because
and Liz's was the Paul.
Liz's was the Paul, the spiritual brother, you could say like that. Allan, you
just
can
quickly, it's not labor or work, you call it that, but because of it's so it's serving others and so much love, it's really not work. That's the term you use, work, but it's so joyful that it's simply that for looking for a term, they call it work, labor, but really it's not. It's just so joyful of serving others.
Some people there still don't understand it like that. You will see that, because the spirits who get this idea, they can be really happy, but some people are not. So we'll see about that.
No retirement.
So the example of the colony, the biggest example is the governor, who is it's the opposite of what we find here on Earth, at least in Brazil, because usually the governors, they work less, they want privilege for themselves and status and not there. So they describe the governor is the most tireless and dedicated work in the whole community. The other ministers sometimes travel to other spheres to renew energies and gain new knowledge. And the rest of us have our amusements too, but the governor has no leisure time whatsoever. So they say that on Sundays, it's his free time. So he goes to the Ministry of Regeneration, where the work is harder, to help people who work there and to listen to people, to what they have to say, to do the best with his free time. He doesn't use it for himself, but for the others. So he is the biggest example. And every night he gets together with all the ministers to pray, and this is broadcasted for the whole city to pray together. So let's go on. So he starts to think, I was a physician on Earth, but will I be able to do this work here? So these are his thoughts about it. He says, on Earth, becoming a licensed physician was a matter of going to medical school and studying the assigned textbooks. In Nosso Lar, the requirements were different. So were the treatment methods. Medical practice here started in the heart, and the basic treatment consisted of brotherly care and love. I couldn't offer qualifications of that kind. The lowliest nursing assistant in the place was far more knowledgeable about curing patients than I was. So he started wondering, because when he arrived there, there was a doctor that came to see him and examined him and said, well, it's a pity that you came here because of the suicide. And he said, no, but I didn't commit suicide. I had the disease, a cancer, and I died during surgery. But then this doctor starts telling him, well, the problem is that you didn't live according to your knowledge. You wasted your energy with
bad habits and
drinking a lot, and with sexual, how do I say that? Not having just one sexual partner, and also, which is the most important thing, he was very strict. He didn't laugh very much. He was very strict to others and to himself, very taciturno.
Most of the
né?
time he had a bad temper, right? So
He
he
had a
was not
bad
an easy
temper.
person. He was not easygoing type of person.
Yes.
He was not light.
So
by no
if he didn't have that temper, that very bad temper, the disease wouldn't have wouldn't have killed him. But as he had all these bad habits and bad attitudes, he ended up dying earlier than what was programmed. So he started to understand that are much more than just the symptoms of a disease that show here on earth. Everything starts in the spirit. And then, so Lysias, his brother there, he says, why don't you go to see Clarence, who is the spiritual guide that Allan talked about? Go see him and let's see what he has to say about your desire to work. So he goes, he makes an appointment and he goes, which is what we're going to see. There was, I've seen the movie a long time ago. It's two different actors, I think. If someone remembers it, why it was like that, I didn't find the answer for that. But this is Clarence, and he receives people who want to talk to him 2 by 2, because like that, one will learn from the other. One that will listen to the other problem and listen to the solution, to the advisement that he gives, will learn from the other. So first, before Andre, there was a lady that was complaining that she needed to help her son who was on earth. And she wanted permission to help her son and to make a rescue team to help him. And Clarencio, he asks of her, have you been working here in the Astral City? How many hours of work do you have? And she says 304 hours of work. It's these hours of work, these are counted as salary. It's not money because they don't have money there, but it's counted as a kind of salary. So when you have a request, they usually ask about, have you been working? What do you have to offer the city? And she said, yeah, I have 304. And he says, well, 304 in 6 years that you've been here. So it's less than a year of work for someone who's been here for 6 years. So it's less than 1/5. And then she starts trying to make excuses, like she had a very strict boss here, and that task was very hard for her, and the spirits that they helped were unreasonable. But he says, well, we can help you, but you have to work too, because if you don't work, you don't improve yourself. Working is not just a matter of money or salary, but it's a way you can improve yourself. You can understand how to be a better person, to be on other people's shoes, to be more comprehensive, to understand how hard things are. So he says, I can only help you if you compromise to work. Go back to the last position that I gave you, and then you come here and we'll talk about it later. And then as Andre was listening to this conversation, he changed his mind a little more, and he says, well, I'd better be humble and try to cooperate as much as I can. And then Clarence tells him what he already knows. that his achievements as a earthly doctor wouldn't be enough to get a doctor's position in Nosso Lar. He wouldn't be able to be a doctor in Nosso Lar. He would have to be an apprentice, or even less than an apprentice at first. So let's go on, Anna. That's what he says. He says, your entire professional career on Earth was limited to treating the physical body. Mind you, I'm not denying your competence as a physical healer, because he was really a remarkable doctor. But life is so much more than physical body. What would you say about a botanist who bases conclusions about plant life on examinations of the dry bark of a few trees? They, doctors, must go deeper, considering the innermost recesses of the soul, where so much physical sickness actually has its origins. You can't become a doctor in Nosso Lar as of this moment. You're simply not ready for it. But eventually, I can almost guarantee that you'll be admitted as a medical apprentice. So they don't deny that he has a background. And later on in the second book, we'll see that he is admitted as a medical apprentice in a group of doctors. He's put in a group of doctors, and he will receive instructions from another doctor. So they will eventually, use his skills. But first he had to go on a course of understanding better the human soul. And we'll see why that happens. So he starts working in the Ministry of Regeneration, where they receive the spirits coming from Earth in very bad shape. So he does tasks as cleaning sometimes, cleaning the patients and giving them medicine. But that helped him so much, finding purpose, finding happiness and humbleness. And he starts to think about his acts when he was here. So he regrets having abandoned a girl, and he meets her there, and she doesn't recognize him, but he compromises to help her and to be kinder to her and to take her as a protege or something like that. And then he starts rethinking his own life, and he needed time to do that. And in the first day that he worked there, he had this blessing, which you can change on, which is seeing his mother. So it shows that in this city, in the higher realms, they don't give you things for free. Like it's not that they don't give you things for free, but you must deserve certain blessings. And he wanted so much to see his mother, and she chose this very day that he starts work to come and visit him. And then he after this first day, he goes to sleep, and he gets out of his body, and he is lighter enough to go to the upper realms to pay her a visit. And she visits him, and they meet in this higher realm. So this was necessary, not just for bureaucracy. I don't know.
It's a matter of vibration, I mean. Right?
Yeah, it's a matter of vibration, exactly. So he can, because he deserved that, he's lighter and he can visit her. So just first, we're finishing right now, right, Anna? So
yeah,
just to finish.
You want me to go?
The other blessing that he was very much wanting to was to come to Earth and visit his family that he left here. So 1 year later, 1 year after he got to the Astral City, after working a lot, after changing his mind a lot, he was allowed to come to Earth and see his family. And he faces a very big challenge because he finds his wife remarried. His wife is married again to another man, and there are no pictures of him in the house. And just one daughter remembers him a little bit. And that was a shock to him. That was such a shock to him that he couldn't even think straight. And then he had to pray and to put his head up again and calm down and breathe and remember everything that he had learned in the past year. This second husband of hers, he was ill, and she was so very much worried about him dying and she becoming a widow again. And she was suffering a lot because of that. And then when he came to his senses, which was very hard for him, Clarence helped him. He wanted to do something to help this second husband, but he couldn't do it on his own. So he prayed and he asked help for his co-worker in Nosso Lar, which is Narcisa. And she comes answering his prayer. He comes and they get elements from the nature to make medicine for him, and he recovers. And she applies fluid therapy, right? And he recovers. And then his wife gets very happy because she wouldn't be a widow again. But that was a challenge, an emotional challenge, very deep for him. And when he comes back to Astral City, he had a surprise as well, because you can change, Anna. He had a surprise, which is they had a ceremony in which he receives the title of a citizen of Nosso Lar, because he was there as, like I said, sponsored by Clarence. He was sponsored by him. And after he overcame just this challenge, he gets to be there for his own merit, for his own effort. So he got the title of being a citizen of Nosso Lar. So it's all about the inner work as well as the physical work. It's not just the material work, but overall the inner work, the work that you do in your heart and in your mind, with the humbleness that he had to show. And then he became one of the greatest workers, because like I said, in the following books, he gets to be in all these rescue teams, and he gets to show it to us how things work. So we'll see a lot of, every time we comment here, we'll probably remember something that he says, a case that he worked on, because he is the one spirit that talks mostly about the details of this essa troca, this
exchange.
Yeah, thank you. This exchange between these two worlds, the world of spirits and our world. So he will be saying a lot about this exchange, and like no one else. So that's what I had to say.
Well, thank you,
sorry.
Leda.
I'm sorry about my English. I'm sorry about being late, but thank you.
Thank you so much. It was a very, very nice presentation. Thank you so much for the effort of putting things together for us today. Thank you. Very well done.
By the way, Anna, before you go, for those like Len, for example, there's a book called, I think there is in English now. I get it in Kindle. It's called The Evolution Between Two Worlds. This book was channeled by two mediums, Chico Xavier in one town and a doctor called Valdo Vieira, right, in another town. And they received the books, the chapters. For example, Chico received the odd number chapters, and the other received the even number chapters. And then they got together the chapters, and there was a sequence, and they made the book. It's very interesting. And of course, for me to read that book, I need a dictionary on biology. And yes, because the terms are old and are about the medical terms and about evolution of the perispirit of the astral body from ancient times. And this book, now I've seen this, right? Spiritist doctors saying, going to Chico and say, Chico, come on, this is not true. Science doesn't say this. And Chico humbly said, oh, but the spirit says that you are wrong and he is right. So keep the writings. And in the end, he was right. So there are things, lots of things like this in Chico Xavier's mediumship. That's just a detail.
When I read the book, I was surprised as well, because I saw terminologies related to topics or subjects that I studied in college, and related to thermodynamics, for example. And it's not simple stuff, it's something, it's very, very complex topics. And they just talk like, so it's impossible that Chico or even the doctor would know about those thermodynamics, terminology, and how to explain the topic. So it's really nice. Yeah, thank you. So 1:19, folks. I guess we are at the top of the hour. Oh, yeah, Gloria, please.
I just wanted to say how happy I am for Len that he's getting a head start on this side.
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Listen, that people go through the meditations and all this spirit, but the thing is, I'm always connected continually. It's practically no effort. There's 12 highly evolved spirits I deal with every day, 24/7. I mean,
that's what I said. I'm glad you're getting a head start on this, Len.
I'm talking to you guys. It's just like I'm talking to you guys. It's a consciousness link. It's a long story. You got to go through our books. But the thing is, remember, energy transfers information. And when you have a consciousness link with spirit, their consciousness and yours, it's automatic all the time, as far as there's not much effort to go through the meditations, etc., because it's like talking to you. And it's like not only the clairvoyance, seeing, hearing, the clairaudience, but the big one is the clairsentience. We merge energies together, the integration, which puts trust. It puts trust in everything you hear, everything you see. When you merge, it's physical, tangible, when you're merging the energies. That's a long story. I don't want to get into it now. I'd rather
keep up the good work. Yeah.
Yes.
But anyway, love you guys, and it's fun.
Yeah, keep up the good work.
Yeah.
Go on.
Keep going. All right, folks. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, Leda. Wonderful presentation.
Great talk.
And see you, Giles. Bring your visitor next time again. We didn't hear his name. We didn't hear his voice, but you are very welcome to the group if you want to join us any day, anytime. Feel free to join us. And guys.
Yes, I'm Peter Hurdle, and I live in Raleigh, North Carolina for many, many years.
Oh, wow.
Long time friend of Giles.
Okay. You're welcome.
Nice to meet you.
You're welcome. Nice meeting you. And see you guys next time.
Yeah,
bye. Y'all.
Goodbye. Take care. Be safe.